The United States has worshipped an unknown man for 30 years. Jay Leno, a legend in television, managed to keep both of his life secret. Under the glittering lights, he hid a parallel universe where fire, steel, and fuel were his constant companions. Oh, absolutely. Up until everything clicked into place, nobody had a clue. In this video, you will learn the complete truth regarding the two lives that Jay Leno has had. New Rochelle, New York is the site of Jay Leno's birth in 1950. Angelo Leno was an insurance salesperson of Italian-American descent. Catherine Meir, his mother, was mild-mannered and practical. She was from Scotland. Patrick, one of his brothers, became a lawyer after serving in the Vietnam War. The family prioritized hard labor above all else, and lived cheaply. Andover, Massachusetts was an integral part of Jay's formative years. He honed his patience in a rundown house, an abandoned garage, and during long afternoons spent fixing cars. Jay was always disassembling things to figure out how they functioned. He came to understand as he matured that the sensation of making other people laugh was similar to that thrill. Jay enrolled at Emerson College in Boston, following his high school years. After deciding on speech therapy as his major, he earned his degree in 1972. The first comedy club on campus was started by him in his dorm. He worked at a garage close to college throughout the day. Later on, he would play at nightclubs. The rhythm of the two shifts started there. The 1970s were a golden age for Boston's little comedy clubs. While nights were spent running comedy performances, Jay was a mechanic by day. By day, I was covered in grease by night, surrounded by laughter. There was no separation between these two realms, as he once put it. His self-control and stamina were shaped by them. So that he might take advantage of more opportunities, Jay relocated to Los Angeles in 1973. Hundreds of young actors and actresses were flocking to the movie and TV capital. On nights, he would act at the Comedy Store while working in a Burbank garage. He continued his practice of saving and working non-stop. Even if his salary barely paid rent, Jay was invited to go on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show after performing in bars for 4 years. His debut appearance on a national stage was on March 2, 1977. His brief but steady concert elicited enthusiastic applause and piqued Carson's interest. After that, Jay started showing up frequently. In the late 1970s, Jay began making guest appearances on more modest TV shows. His acting credits include Holmes, Yo-Yo Fun, with Dick and Jane, Alice and One Day at a Time. He also contributed to Good Times as a writer. 2 films starring him were 1978's American Hot Wax and Silver Bears. Jay persisted in extending his comedic platform. He became a regular on David Letterman's late night and national television. His sense of humor was astute, rhythmic, and quick to pick up on commonplace situations. Not a celebrity, but a hard-working man delivering tales. That was what audiences remembered him as. When Johnny Carson took brief vacations in the 1980s, Jay started filling in. His reputation for remaining cool and free of scandals drew the attention of NBC. Never late, never canceling events, and always professional, producers praised his remarkable steadiness. Away from the stage, Jay continued to put in a lot of time in his modest Burbank garage. Rusted vintage vehicles were his specialty. He would restore them by hand and then sell them. A kind of self-control and persistence. It was more than just a pastime. In 1985, Jay became a regular on weekend comedy shows. He once observed, "Fixing a car is like writing a joke. You work on it until it runs." That was then. People started to recognize him because of his constant presence. He was formally named Carson's replacement host by 1986. After that, NBC started seeing how viewers responded. After years of playing supporting roles on smaller stages and amid motor oil-scented nights, Jay Leno entered a new era. His name was about to be called by the bright lights of television. However, he had to be disciplined and persistent if he wanted to make it through the intense race that lay behind that possibility. Watching the Golden Knights win on TV, Jay Leno took up hosting duties of The Tonight Show from Johnny Carson on May 25, 1992. He took the stage at the same time as NBC was going through a generational shift. Every night at 11:35 p.m., the show went live and became the defining platform for conversational comedy in America for the following 20 years. The first 3 months were incredibly stressful for Jay. Carson's faithful viewers were skeptical about his replacement. It was referred to by many media at the time as NBC's dangerous experiment. Jay remained silent during the tapings, winning over viewers with his approachable personality, consistent pacing and real-life comedy. He put in about 18 hours a day on average. Production meetings took place in the mornings, script reading in the afternoons, taping in the evenings and performances at various Los Angeles clubs in the nights. At the 1994 memorial for his father, Jay expressed, "You know it really is lonely at the top. You have no idea, but we'll fight the good fight, Pop." His remarks mirrored the isolation that accompanies grandeur. The show's peak ratings occurred in 1995. More than 5 million people tuned in to Jay Leno's Tonight Show every night, making it more popular than David Letterman's Late Show. Jay is now the most important figure at NBC, thanks to the network's more than 30% rise in ad income compared to prior years. Aside from his television work, Jay had a jam-packed touring schedule, performing 150 shows annually across the U.S. in venues ranging from tiny Las Vegas stages to massive university auditoriums. As he put it, "If I'm off stage for a few days, I start to miss the smell of the audience." His travel schedule was always jam-packed and he rarely got a chance to relax. For The Tonight Show, the late 90s were its heyday. With over 22 million viewers, the special 1993 Cheers finale episode was a success. Nearly 12 million viewers celebrated the show's 10th anniversary in 2002. According to NBC's estimates, the weekly profits were more than $30 million. As he worked like a craftsman in the studio, Jay continued. In 1993, following his mother's funeral, he hardly took 2 days off. Co-workers stated he was unflappable, but Jay only said, "I work, I sleep, then I work again, that's all." NBC started talking about backup plans in 2000. They picked Conan O'Brien to succeed him after 2009 when his current contract ends. 8 years early, in an effort to forestall domestic unrest, the announcement was made. At the press conference, Jay said briefly, "Every show needs a next chapter." After 17 years on the show, Jay hosted his last episode on May 29, 2009. "Whenever I came, I always brought it with me." Colleagues and old admirers abound in the Burbank studio. With a single line, he ended the show, "Working here has been an incredible experience." The Jay Leno Show, NBC's new primetime program, was revealed a few months later. Jay would be moving there. Because of this choice, tensions with Conan O'Brien began to rise. However, Jay had finished his first 20 years on television with a strong reputation and the air of an incredibly hard worker until that disagreement broke out. Many considered Jay Leno to have stood down from his position as king or queen of American television after he had ruled the night for nearly 20 years. Although everyone expected him to quit, Jay set out on an entirely new adventure. This time under the garage roof, with the deafening noise of engines as my backdrop instead of the stage. Departure from the limelight. In March of 2010, following over 6 months of disagreements between NBC and Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno resumed hosting duties for The Tonight Show. With the judgment, the network's difficult chapter came to an end, and its audience numbers were restored. Jay kept working until Jimmy Fallon was formally sworn in on February 6, 2014. In 2014, after his last broadcast, Jay left NBC. He started working on the 1-hour automotive documentary special Jay Leno's Garage a few months later. After the special's overwhelmingly positive reception, CNBC inked a full series deal for 2015. Over the course of 7 seasons, Jay Leno's Garage was on air non-stop until 2022. Celebrities like Elon Musk, President Joe Biden, and Jerry Seinfeld were among the guests featured in the interviews and car testing that took place at Jay's private Burbank garage. Once upon a time, Jay would say, "Cars are the only thing that make me quiet." He meant that when the engine was turned on, everything else became silent. That statement became his personal credo. It was a reflection of his devotion as well as his tendency to avoid the spotlight of the entertainment industry. An invaluable mechanical gem is Jay's collection of automobiles. He has about $50 million worth of automobiles and motorcycles under his ownership at Big Dog Garage, which totals over 180 vehicles. Among these are a pair of Doble steam cars formerly owned by Howard Hughes, a 1994 McLaren F1, valued at over $20 million, and a 1909 Baker Electric Jay's present to his wife. In addition, no one else has 3 fully operational 1963 Chrysler turbine automobiles like he does. All of the cars in the collection have been meticulously restored by hand, and Jay personally runs each one to ensure it runs well. A number of publications have depicted his garage as an individual museum showcasing the coexistence of technology and memories. Jay contributes to Popular Mechanics alongside his television work with the Motormouth column. The restoration of steam engines, the testing of hybrid autos, and the construction of jet-powered vehicles are the main topics of his articles. Experience and technical accuracy inform his straightforward and unassuming writing style. Still performing weekly, Jay travels non-stop across the U.S. to perform his 150-plus stand-up concerts annually. He is accustomed to the hectic schedule, but some find it surprising. The same thing remains my practice: daytime auto repair and nighttime performance. My sharpness is maintained by that. Jay and his wife Mavis Leno are famously discreet when it comes to their private lives. No children have been born to this married couple since 1980. Mavis serves on the Feminist Majority Foundation's board and is involved with human rights and women's groups. As an act documented in the foundation's history, Jay only states, "She's the one who taught me how to be quiet." In 1998, the couple gave $100,000 to support women in Afghanistan. Charity is something the pair keeps under wraps, but they do give to school funds and car museums every year. Even in his 70s, Jay sticks to his routine of 4 hours of sleep and 16 hours of work. In response to a reporter's question about fatigue, Jay said, "No, I'm still doing what I love. If I stop, I'll rust like an engine that never runs." The biggest obstacles started to show up once Jay's fame had subsided and his work had reached its height. Jay Leno was taken off his usual course by a string of unfortunate events and personal problems. Instead of turning around, he decided to come back even stronger than when he had first faced adversity 50 years ago. As he worked on a white steam car from 1907 in his garage, in November 2022, a tiny spark lit the fuel chamber on fire. Jay Leno sustained second- and third-degree burns on his chest, hands and face. He was taken in critical condition and spent 10 days in the Grossman Burn Center in West Hills, where he had extensive treatment, including skin grafts, after the incident. The media spread pictures of his bandaged face. Even though his health was getting better, Jay said nothing. In an interview that was both brief and intense, he simply stated, "My face was on fire." That one line captured the enormity of the event. His swift recovery was attributed to his robust physical condition and resolute will, according to the doctors. Jay was involved in yet another motorbike accident in January of 2023, barely 2 months after his previous incident. He stumbled and fractured his collarbone and 2 ribs after losing his footing on a wire that had been laid across the road. Though he remained in the hospital, Jay continued performing, telling reporters, "I cracked a few parts, but the laughter's still intact." In mid-2022, when questioned about the string of accidents, Jay merely said, "I grew up in a garage. Accidents are normal." 3 weeks later, he was back on stage, performing in front of over 2,000 spectators in Las Vegas. Reconstructive surgery on his face was undetectable. While recording a vehicle test video in Pennsylvania in early 2024, Jay was involved in yet another accident. His hand was broken, and his face bruised as he tumbled down an 18-meter slope. "Feeling good. As long as I can work, I'm alive." His quick, characteristically cynical comment came later in discussion. The incident caused concern among supporters, but Jay remained focused on his profession. He continued to show off his bandaged arm a week later at a California antique auto show. One of Jay's close associates recalled that right after the fall, Jay asked, "Is the car okay?" before requesting an ambulance. "The year 2024 was a watershed moment in my life, personally and professionally." Mavis Leno, his wife, was found to be suffering from a steady decline in her memory. Los Angeles court records show that the normally quiet couple was compelled to reveal the information. The court formally appointed Jay as her legal guardian on April 1, 2024, so he may handle her medical and financial matters. He expressed his desire to make sure that all decisions about care are made with compassion and complete safety in his filing. Jay explained to reporters after the hearing that love is being there for one other when you're unable to do it alone. His lawyer claims that Mavis has lost the ability to identify her husband on occasion. A full-time guardian was stated in her doctor's report as being necessary due to her progressive dementia. Still, Jay persisted in taking her to modest public events, explaining that she felt more secure with regular schedules. Jay made a return appearance in an episode of Jay Leno's Garage in early summer of 2024. A refurbished antique electric car was unveiled by him, accompanied by his signature smile and a leather jacket. When the media brought up his series of incidents again later that year, Jay quickly responded, "I don't think I've had trouble, I just fix cars, and sometimes the cars fight back." His comment had the same dry wit that had marked his humorous approach for decades. His entire recovery was certified by the doctors. His spirit was unshaken, his skin became better, and his bones got better faster. Jay Leno maintained his previous cadence, even after those difficult years when life appeared to slow down. However, at the start of 2025, the plot shifted away from a focus on endurance. A man's ability to hold on to his dreams and goals, even after death has passed, was the central theme. In 2002, Jay Leno celebrated his 75th birthday after a tumultuous few years. Even after 2 years of healing and internal turmoil, he persisted in following his usual pattern. From February to December, he performed in Florida, Connecticut, New Jersey, Nevada, and California as part of his tour schedule. In all, there were about 170 performances. The venues were still very full. The man who had managed to escape 3 devastating incidents was the main attraction for many in the audience. Jay seemed to be unaffected by any special effects or dramatic lighting. He always began his shows in the same manner. "I just finished fixing a car, and it didn't blow up." Before adjusting the microphone on stage, Jay Leno's Garage continued to prosper online. New technology and electric vehicles were the main themes of the 2025 videos. An excerpt from a Cadillac Celestiq test drive showed Jay smiling and saying, "I don't buy them all. I just keep the ones that make me happy." His voice remained steady and serene, yet it still had his signature wit. In a different episode, Jay took the hybrid Ford GT for a spin around the Burbank track. He gave an honest assessment of the vehicle's handling, throttle response and noise production. The identical sentiment was shared by tens of thousands of commenters beneath the video. "He is not elderly, he is merely persevering." Despite everything, Jay's health was remarkably good. Even so, he continued to get 4 hours of sleep each night, rise early, and substitute cold water for coffee. Cut out sugar, booze, and tobacco. The following statement was made by Jay's personal physician: "He's the only patient I know who never takes a day off." Jay would later use this statement as a punchline in his performance. His automobile collection was worth approximately 10% to 15% of his estimated $450 million personal wealth. His principal storage and home workshop were located in Big Dog Garage in Burbank. There, he and a small crew of mechanics would spend most of their time meticulously repairing vintage automobiles. During the devastating wildfires that swept through Los Angeles in January 2025, Jay and his buddies generously offered to use their antique fire truck to transport supplies to the relief workers. Honorary events and awards were unusual occurrences for him. Jay made it plain to the media, "I don't like standing in front of a camera to get a trophy. I like standing in a garage doorway, watching smoke rise from the exhaust." This statement perfectly encapsulated his unwavering work ethic that has persisted from his youth. During another interview, Jay's expression became more gentle when he spoke about his wife. He spoke the words, "She's still got the fire. That's what love is." After a brief pause, he seemed to stabilize himself by shifting the conversation onto vehicles. For many, that little moment clarified why he persisted in coming into work each day. Jay went to a benefit in California for fire victims around the year's end 2025. An honored guest appearance, one of his uncommon occurrences. He thanked the medical staff and kept his address short and to the point, without sharing any experiences. "It was because of them that I was able to look in the mirror and find the smile that had faded." Jay managed to get in some time for the automotive community, despite his busy schedule. Restoring ancient engines was his specialty, and he often held informal get-togethers in his garage to teach others the ropes and inspire the next generation to follow in his footsteps. At the end of the year, his pattern stayed the same. He would do stand-up on the weekends, make videos first thing in the morning, and spend mornings in the garage inspecting automobiles. Jay Leno maintained the same straightforward lifestyle after more than 50 years in the industry. On one side you could see the bright lights of the stage. On the other you could smell the gasoline and the chilly metal. The two realms finally became one, after years of struggle. They became one, painting a picture of a guy who worked tirelessly in an era where entertainment was always evolving. Stay up to date with the latest episodes by subscribing to the channel and enabling notifications if you find inspiration in the stories of individuals who truly embrace their passions, such as Jay Leno.